My wife cheated and blew up our marriage. Now, years later, she's falling apart while I finally find love again and she can't stand it. I'm 48, divorced for about a year and a half now. My ex still can't seem to let go. To sum things up, after 14 years of marriage, she cheated on me with a married guy she worked with. She came clean about it a month later, and that was it. I had to leave. She was clearly sorry, begged me over and over to stay, but I couldn't do it. When it came time for the divorce, she didn't fight me on anything. She accepted the settlement without a fuss. She's continued to be a good mom to our kids, and overall, we've managed to keep a decent relationship. Naturally, it was rough on both of us. We went through a long grieving period, mourning the loss of the life we had. But in time, we found a rhythm as co-parents, living separately and just getting through the day-to-day. Right before the holidays, I started casually seeing someone, not anything heavy, more like a close friendship. She's got a daughter too. Recently, we began tossing around the idea of introducing our kids to each other. They don't know anything about us yet, so out of respect, I sent my ex a text to give her a heads up. She called me right away, and I could hear in her voice that something wasn't sitting right. I tried to explain that we're both single now, and seeing other people was bound to happen eventually. Then she just broke down crying and started yelling. She told me she hasn't dated anyone, hasn't even gone on a single date. I'm honestly not sure if I buy that, but she was serious about it and getting worked up. She asked that I not let the woman I'm seeing stay overnight when the kids are around, and that she's not emotionally ready to meet her. She asked me not to bring her around just yet. I told her that it's really nothing serious, but okay, I'd respect that for now. About an hour later, she sent a text apologizing. I told her thanks. Then another hour passed and she texted again, this time saying she probably deserves all of this. Now look, I don't need anyone cheering me on for revenge or anything like that. This isn't about payback. I'm still trying to be the anchor for this family, even though it's broken. I'm trying to lead as a father first. So now I'm wondering, what's the right move here? My girlfriend is solid, grounded, no drama, doesn't tolerate toxic energy, and honestly, neither do I anymore. I'm proud of how I've steadied things in my life, but I could use some advice to keep it on track. Update 1, my ex-wife then, and now here's a quick rundown of how things used to be for her versus where she is now. During the first 13 years of our marriage, she did a lot, raised 2 great kids, finished her college degree, helped build a beautiful home, landed a great job, and had a husband who loved her. Then the last 3 years happened: an affair, getting dumped, divorced, shared custody, living in a small apartment, losing her job, and winding up alone. There have been a few times she's overstepped into my personal space, which bothered me. A good friend of mine helped me put that in perspective. If you've read my other posts, you'll know she's mostly backed off now. My own life isn't perfect by any stretch, but I've finally found some peace. Update 2, the Mother's Day mess up, man. I really screwed up this one. Not on purpose, I swear. Mistake number 1, I had the kids on Saturday and dropped them off on Sunday so they could spend Mother's Day with their mom. We've all been cooped up for weeks with the beaches closed, but they finally reopened. Saturday was gorgeous, so the kids and I spent the day at the beach and had a blast. I had no clue that going to the beach was her plan for Mother's Day. She never said a word, and I didn't think to ask. Mistake number 2, I've been quietly seeing someone, and I was putting together a really nice Mother's Day gift basket for her. I thought I was being careful and kept it hidden in my closet. My kids have never met her, but I guess they found the basket and assumed it was for their mom. Naturally, they told her all about it. So my ex calls me up, clearly disappointed. She started by saying how let down she was that we went to the beach. I apologized, and at first, she seemed okay. Then she thanked me for the gift and said she was looking forward to getting it. That's when I had to break the news that it wasn't for her. Things got real tense after that. I do feel bad for how that unfolded. At the same time, when she had her affair, she never once stopped to think about how her choices would shape her future. Believe me, I had a whole list of things I could have thrown in her face, but I didn't. Update 3, divorce in the fog. This one's just a reflection I wanted to share. Don't take it like I was smart, I just got lucky in hindsight. I'm 48 now. Was married 14 years. She had an affair, and I was the betrayed spouse. We've been divorced for 2 years. When I found out about the affair, she acted remorseful, but never actually cut ties with the guy. After a month of that nonsense, I decided to file. She went all in with her affair partner. It tore me apart, but I pushed hard to get the divorce done as fast as I could. I knew the sooner it was over, the sooner I could start rebuilding. Looking back, I made all the money in the marriage, and she was so swept up in her fantasy that she made some dumb decisions during the divorce. She was distant and dismissive in mediation, totally out of touch. I think she thought this guy would swoop in and take care of her. She didn't realize how expensive it is to be on your own, or how hard it would be to maintain the life she had even with alimony. That won't last forever. My lawyer was shocked by how careless she was. Now it's starting to hit her. Just the other night, she texted me asking how to pull money out of her 401k. I told her I have no idea, I'm not touching mine until retirement. Oh, and by the way, her affair partner dumped her a few months after the divorce. Just thought I'd mention that. Some people might wait around hoping to reconcile. If that's what you're aiming for, maybe it works out. But if not, if your path is leading you away from the marriage, move fast. You might end up lucky like I did. Update 4, Affairs that Turn into Marriages, a warning sign. I read a fascinating article by Dr. Pittman on how affairs sometimes turn into marriages. Here's the thing, only 3 to 5% of affairs actually lead to marriage. Most of those are probably rushed decisions made during the high of the affair. He also pointed out that 75% of second marriages fail. Third marriages? Probably even worse. So yeah, if your relationship started from cheating, the odds are really against you. My opinion? Even among the tiny sliver of affair-born marriages that work, I think there's a split between those who are happy and those who are just enduring it. I think some people stay married not because they're fulfilled, but because they've already burned so much down that they feel like they have no choice. Admitting failure would just be too much, so they stick with a miserable second marriage to save face. And then, on the rarest occasion, you get a couple that actually left toxic, abusive marriages and ended up happier together. Even then, happy might just mean better than before. Dr. Pittman also laid out 9 common problems in affairs that become marriages. It's pretty clear that most of these relationships fall apart once reality sets in. There's a list I came across, 9 major problems that often show up in marriages that began as affairs. I've seen most of them play out firsthand. First off, when 2 people are cheating, they're wrapped up in this intoxicating fantasy world. It feels exciting and alive. But once they leave their marriages and tie the knot, reality hits hard. It's only after they're married that the consequences of their choices really sink in. Suddenly, that magical escape starts to look like a giant mistake. They get so swept up in the thrill of sneaking around, they never stop to ask themselves if what they're doing makes any sense at all. And the guilt they avoided while cheating? It shows up after the wedding when everything's supposed to feel perfect. Divorces are brutal financially, emotionally, spiritually. Once the affair partners marry, one or both of them may start feeling like they gave up more than the other. That creates tension. The bigger the sacrifice, the higher the expectations for that new relationship. And those expectations rarely match reality. Honestly, the people who find excitement in destroying a marriage, escaping it, rebelling against it, are usually the same people who get bored once the dust settles. A normal, stable marriage isn't exactly thrilling when you've built your bond on chaos. There's also a deep, lingering distrust. If you started your relationship by lying and sneaking around, it's hard to suddenly trust your new spouse. How can you? The whole foundation was dishonest. During the affair and divorce, the couple isolates themselves. They pull away from friends and family, creating their own little world where no one can challenge them. Any mention of the betrayed spouse becomes off limits. Later on, when they feel lonely or regretful, they may want to reconnect with people they once cut out. But those people? They're hurt, they remember. And they're not as forgiving as the affair couple hoped. That isolation often leaves the new couple with no one but each other, and when the initial fire burns out, that can feel incredibly lonely. Affair partners often can't accept that the excitement fades. They don't understand that in any long-term relationship, passion naturally shifts into something deeper and more meaningful. Instead of working to grow that love, they think they've simply fallen out of it. Another thing I've noticed, during the affair, they convince each other that everything wrong in their previous marriage was their spouse's fault. Once they remarry, admitting any different feels like betraying the fantasy that kept them going. And because their new relationship didn't grow from shared roots or history, they lack that comforting familiarity older couples have. Talking about the past is awkward, sometimes painful. Affair partners who marry rarely want to hear anything good about the exes they helped destroy. That jealousy still lingers. Even memories can stir it up. Starting over isn't easy. Sometimes it's downright discouraging. Update 5, that moment, that look, that one last gift. It's been a while since I posted, but something's been on my mind lately, something I've come to think of as the last gift my ex ever gave me. Weird as that sounds, it stuck with me. It's been about 2.5 years since the divorce. I found out about her affair, we split, and now we co-parent. Things are civil. There's no bitterness left, no emotional strings. I've moved on, and honestly, my life's in a pretty good place. She hasn't had it easy. Nothing catastrophic, just little things I hear about here and there that concern me, mostly for the kids. I'm the type who wants to help and fix things. Always have been. That's probably why I still check in on this support group now and then. Sometimes when I hear she's struggling, that old instinct to help kicks in. I never act on it, but the urge is still there. What always pulls me back is a memory from our last mediation session. I was at rock bottom then, just mentally and emotionally wrecked. And in that meeting, she looked at me with this. I don't even know how to describe it. Her eyes were vacant, cold. There was something almost inhuman in them. And yet, her mouth was tight, almost like she was holding back a smile. It was like she was actually enjoying my suffering. That look, it haunts me. It's burned into my memory. And every time I think about stepping in to help, my mind snaps back to that moment. That reminder keeps me grounded. It's not about revenge. I don't feel happy when she struggles. But that memory reassures me I did the right thing. I'm on the right path now. And if she hadn't looked at me like that, if she had looked sad, or even unsure, I sometimes wonder if I'd have felt differently. Strange as it sounds, that look was a kind of gift. It gave me clarity. A final push toward peace. Anyone else have a moment like that? Something you reflect on that helps keep your head clear? Update 6, good guys and gals always win, have faith. The cheating, the lies, it's all just a speck in the rearview mirror now. The memories still sting, and there's no doubt those were the darkest days of my life. I'll never forget how it felt. The nausea that wouldn't quit, the confusion and panic, the nights I couldn't sleep. Hell, there were days I questioned if I could even go on. And then you wake up one day and realize you're in a club nobody ever wants to join. It sucks. But now, nearly 3 years out, I can finally breathe. I'm standing on solid ground again. I'm not living the life I once dreamed about, but somehow, I've ended up in a better place. My job stuck by me through all of it. I'll never forget that. I'm more focused and driven than ever, and it shows. My career is taking off. And against all odds, I met someone new, someone incredible. I never thought I'd feel that kind of connection again after what happened with my ex. I thought that part of my heart was just gone. But I was wrong. I've actually found something stronger. This whole experience has changed me. I see people differently now. I see myself differently. I value genuine friendship, and I've learned to build strong, honest connections with the few people I trust. My kids? They saved me. And I needed to be strong for them. These past couple of years, our bond has grown in ways I never imagined. They're doing well. That's really what kept me moving forward. I don't know why I've been this lucky. I'm not rich, or powerful, or special. I just tried to be a good man, to stay grounded, and do the right thing even when it hurt. To anyone reading this, feeling like you're stuck in hell, hang in there. Better days are coming. You don't have to be perfect. Just try to be kind. Try to be honest. Trust that good people eventually come out on top. Like I said, this is a club that none of us wanted to be part of, but if you need someone to talk to, you're not alone. Update 7, Why People Cheat, my take. Just wanted to share a thought that's been on my mind about why people cheat. I think it all boils down to value. Everything in life has some kind of value, our belongings, our relationships, our freedom, our security, even how we see ourselves. But how we assign value to those things isn't simple. It's shaped by our past, our personalities, the way we grew up, our surroundings, even our DNA. Everyone sees value differently, and that value can change as time passes. Sometimes, we're in control of that value, we can increase it by nurturing something, or we can let it fade through neglect. Sometimes we only think something is valuable when really, it's not. And sometimes, we only realize what something's worth when it's already gone. Value is always relative. It shifts depending on the options we have and the situations we're in. We value what something gives us right now, but we also try to weigh what it might be worth in the future. When it comes to cheating, here's the truth that hurts the most. The person who cheats values the affair more than the marriage. Plain and simple. Maybe they misjudged things and got caught up in the fantasy. Maybe the affair felt more thrilling, more alive. Maybe they never really stopped to consider what they had in their marriage or what they were about to lose. In my case, I think my ex-wife didn't fully appreciate what we had. I don't think she was miserable. We didn't have major problems. I truly believe she cared about our life together. But in that moment, I think she put too much value on her affair partner and the emotional rush that came with the secrecy. That kind of high can make people forget the long-term value of love, family, and loyalty. Update 8, Fell off my barstool, figuratively speaking. So last night, I ran into one of my ex-wife's old friends, someone I hadn't seen in a long time. I was out catching up with some buddies, and she stumbled into the bar, clearly had a few drinks in her. After some small talk, she brought up my ex and basically called her a screw-up. I didn't say much, but then she started spilling the tea, and what she said floored me. Turns out, after the divorce, my ex blew a big chunk of her settlement money by pouring it into her affair partner's struggling business. I guess it was already going under, and her money only bought it a little more time before it finally collapsed. But that's not all, he apparently planned to move to another state and asked her to come with him. And she agreed. That's right, she was willing to up and leave our kids. But then, he bailed. Just dumped her. Maybe he realized she wasn't really going to abandon the kids after all. Anyway, this explained a lot. I had always suspected she was burning through her money too fast, spending more than she was making. Now it made sense. My girlfriend later asked me if all this bothered me. I told her the part about my kids, yeah, that stung. But the rest? It's her money, her choices. If anything, it made me feel a little less bad about her current financial struggles. Actions have consequences. I'm 49 now, divorced 3 years. Just when I thought I had the full picture, life surprises you. Update 9. Why I never chose reconciliation. People sometimes ask why I never tried to reconcile with my ex. And the answer's not as simple as she cheated, so I walked. Of course, I thought about going back. My kids, the emotional toll, the financial impact, it all weighed heavy. But here's what it came down to: I had to face what a marriage would look like after the affair. And I realized I couldn't accept it. First off, the purity of our marriage was gone. I'm not saying we were some perfect fairy tale couple before, or that we were each other's first love. But there was something sacred about the connection we had. Something real. And once she stepped outside the marriage, that part was lost. Even if things could have improved, even if therapy helped and she became a better partner, I knew deep down that purity couldn't be restored. It would always feel artificial, forced. Second, I realized I'd never see her the same way again. I might still love her, and I might even rebuild some kind of intimacy with her, but I couldn't picture her as my wife anymore. That feeling of her being mine in that way was just gone. Third, I feared that even if I fell back in love with her, it would never be the same love. It would be like the kind of love a widower might feel for a second spouse, deep, but different. Not a continuation of the first love, but something built over the ashes of it. And once I processed all that, I made peace with my decision. I have one life. I want a marriage that's whole, honest, and clean. I want to give my heart completely to someone new. And I couldn't do that if I stayed. I'm not trying to convince anyone to do the same. Everyone's situation is different. But this was mine. Maybe it helps someone else think through their own decision. Update 10. Affair sex versus marriage sex, a simple comparison. I've read a lot of posts comparing the sex in an affair to the sex in a marriage, and I figured I'd throw in my 2 cents, probably in an oversimplified way, but it makes sense to me. Affair sex is about newness. Marriage sex is about closeness. One is driven by dopamine, that feel-good, thrill chemical. The other comes from oxytocin, the one that builds trust and connection. Affair sex is exciting. It's adrenaline. It's like skydiving for the first time, heart pounding, mind racing. It's a high. Marriage sex? That's like holding your newborn baby. It's not about the rush, it's about warmth, comfort, and a deep sense of connection. It's intimate, quiet, safe. Now, here's the key difference: releasing dopamine is easy. All it takes is something new or exciting. But oxytocin, that takes time. Trust, safety, vulnerability. That's why our bodies naturally release it when holding a baby, because it feels completely safe. With a partner, that kind of safety has to be earned, built over years of honesty, affection, and shared experience. Ideally, when you start a new relationship, affair or not, dopamine comes first. Everything feels exciting and electric. But as that fades, which it always does, oxytocin should take its place, as intimacy deepens. That's the good stuff. That's the bond that lasts. Here's something I've come to believe the more I learn about relationships and human behavior: most of us are actually craving connection, the kind that comes from oxytocin, not the thrill of dopamine. Oxytocin is the chemical that gives us a sense of comfort, trust, and emotional closeness. When that's missing in a relationship or in your life, you start to feel hollow, empty. And when people feel that emptiness, they go chasing a quick fix. That's where dopamine comes in. Dopamine gives you that sudden jolt of excitement. It's instant gratification. It's what fuels affairs and hookups. But here's the catch: that high doesn't last. Anyone who's been around the block in love or sex knows this, whether it's with one partner or several, that initial excitement fades. It's just biology. The dopamine hit you get from something new starts to wear off. Just like skydiving, the first jump is a rush. By the 5th or 6th, it's still cool, but it's not the same. Oxytocin, though? That stuff builds. The more time you invest in someone, the more you connect emotionally and feel safe, the stronger the bond gets. It's like holding your baby for the 100th time. That warmth doesn't go away. In fact, it grows. I wanted to share this for anyone out there trying to process what's happened in their own relationships. Whether you stay together or go your separate ways, understanding this stuff helps make sense of those "why did this happen" questions. A lot of people ask, was the affair sex better, or why can't I be intimate anymore, or is once a cheater always a cheater? And honestly, this science explains a lot of those feelings. If it doesn't hit home, I'm happy to talk about it more. But I hope it gave someone a little clarity. Update 11, the rise of the modern walkaway wife. This one's going to be blunt. No sugarcoating. I want to talk about what some folks call walkaway wife syndrome, and yeah, it's controversial, but it needs to be said. Here's the hard truth, it often starts with boredom. That's it. Not abuse. Not unhappiness. Just plain, ordinary boredom. In a lot of these cases, the woman has everything: support, love, stability. Maybe even too much comfort. And being bored isn't a crime. It happens. But how it's handled, that's where things fall apart. Instead of digging into hobbies, purpose, or real friendships, many women start turning to social media. And let me tell you, social media is full of toxic fantasies. They scroll through endless videos of empowered women glamorizing divorce, acting like walking away is some kind of liberation. It's like a digital echo chamber. Broken people reinforcing each other's choices, convincing themselves that leaving their families is bold, not selfish. It becomes a kind of cult: likes, comments, validation. They feed off it. And if your wife is bored, chances are she's soaking this stuff in. What starts as daydreaming soon becomes obsession. She builds this fantasy of a better life, one that, to surprise, doesn't include you or the marriage. She starts telling herself that you're the reason she's bored, that the marriage is flawed. And instead of taking responsibility, she blames you. Slowly, she puts together a list of your flaws, all the things she claims were missing. Then, like clockwork, she turns to friends, family, even anonymous strangers online, spinning a one-sided story where she's the victim. Words like abusive, narcissist, and controlling get thrown around. Whether they're true or not doesn't matter, they're used to justify the fantasy. Then comes the support parade. Everyone tells her she's brave. She finds others who felt the same way, who left and now say they're living their best life. She connects the dots, convinces herself it's time. And then, boom, the bomb drops. One day you think things are fine, and the next, she's gone. Here's the part most people miss: the word unhappy? It never really comes up. Because she wasn't miserable, she was bored. And boredom looks very different. You don't see it coming. You don't feel the distance until it's too late. That's what separates a walkaway wife from someone who's genuinely been hurting. I know it's harsh. But for some of us, it's reality.